Since we just talked about preferences in our previous section, now we're going to go on to playing with Photoshop and getting into the fun stuff. We're going to open up a new document in Photoshop before we start opening up images, just so you get a sense of how to work with Photoshop when you have files open, organizing different files when you have multiple files open, and things like that. In the beginning, we open up a new document just for demonstration purposes, and I want to close it out and open up a new document. So let's go ahead and first close the one we have open so we can go back to our introductory screen and start from scratch. There are two ways to do this. You can go to the top tab here and click on X, or you can hit Command W, which is a shortcut for quitting out an open tab. It won't close Photoshop, it'll just close the tab that's open. Again, if your screen does not look like mine, go back to the previous sections and see anything that you may have missed. But the biggest thing is under Window and Application Frame, you'll see that my Photoshop here, it doesn't have a hovering document. It's actually planted right in the center so that it's more organized and more efficient to work in. The operative word being more efficient. Okay, so let's go and close that document out. And then we have this little welcome screen here. And the reason why this welcome screen is still here, even if you turn it off in your preferences, is you have to go and make sure that you did quit Photoshop, reopen it so that it takes effect. So I'll hit New or Command N, which is a shortcut next to it, or File New. Over here, this screen gives you a few options that you need to know. The first being the name of your document. You don't have to worry about that at the moment because when we save it, we can name it then. But if you like to keep organized, you can change it up where you name it to whatever you want. So let's just name this RGG Test 1. And we can go on to the next step, which is changing the size. We have a few options that we can do. Since this is just a demonstration on how to play around with different canvases and different documents, this is not so imperative. However, for the moment, let's say that we have a document that's 7 inches by 5 inches. It tells you, because the width is here, it gives you an exact number which you can change by highlighting it and typing in the number you want. Or you can hover over the width name and clicking on it and moving it left and right. So for now, we'll just keep it to 7 inches by 5 inches with the resolution of 300 pixels per inch. The reason why this isn't so important at the moment is whenever you open up new images in Camera Raw, which we'll talk about going forward as well, the image size is set to the megapixels that your camera has essentially. So you won't have to re-enter a new figure every single time. It's already built in. But for the moment, we can keep the resolution to anything that we want. For print, it's usually either 240 or 300 if you're deciding to have a new canvas to draw on and you want to print out later, or things like that. And you can change that here by highlighting this, change the number, and changing pixels to pixels per inch or pixels per centimeter. This is also where you can change from RGB to CMYK, which are different color modes. So if you're working in press where they want a CMYK file, you can start in CMYK or RGB. For most purposes, we'll keep it to RGB and either use 8-bit or 16-bit. The difference being that 16-bit contains a lot more information in terms of color, in terms of range, in terms of tonalities and highlights and shadows. But for now, we'll keep it to 8 as well, since it's mostly for the web and again, demonstration purposes. Everything else will keep to standard. The last topic is background contents. If we start, like we did last time, with a black background, the reason for that is coming over here, clicking that box, and changing what color you want your canvas set to. So let's say we want it set to white. We can click on white by moving the cursor over and dragging it to the corner, and then hitting OK. Another option is a drop-down menu. You can set it to white, transparent, which means it'll have no color at all, or a background color, which is your secondary color in Photoshop, which we'll also talk about. But for now, we'll use this box, set it to white, and then hit OK. And there we go. We're back to kind of what we saw. The first thing to note is on the top right where you see the tab, it gives you a few indications. The first one is the name, RGG Test 1. The second, after the @ sign, is a percentage value. What that percentage value means is how much of this document you're viewing. So say you wanted to zoom out and look at a view which is not 100%. Say you want to look at a view that's 50%. You can do this by hitting Command minus or Control minus on a PC. And what that does is it zooms out. And you know this is happening because A, the canvas got smaller, but you didn't resize this. What's really happening is the zooming distance is changing. You're not resizing the actual document. It's still the same size, but you're just stepping back further away from the document. So for instance, you'll notice that the document changed from 100% to 50%, showing you that it temporarily shrank the document down in the way that you view it. So it's still the same size, but it's just a different way of viewing the document. And you can also zoom in by hitting Command plus or Control plus, and the number changes accordingly, as you notice on the percentage. The next bit here under the brackets tells you what color space it's in. So at the moment it's in RGB, which is what's going to happen for most of the documents you open or most of the images that you open. So you won't have to change that much, or ever if you're not working in Cmyk or any other format that's required to you by whatever purpose you're using it for. And the last being 8-bit or 16-bit. Most documents being 8-bit, but if you have a photograph that you're working 16-bit with, and if you work in 16-bit, you know who you are if you're working in 16-bit. However, at the moment in the brackets it has 8. So let's get into the fun stuff.